Welcome to the Wonder With Me podcast, where I, Dr. Tonia Winchester, invite you to get curious with me about all things mind-body healing, especially how we can unlock the incredible healing power of our unconscious minds, so that we can all get out of stress mode and go back into healing mode. We'll talk about how you can easily create healthy, sustainable self-care habits so that you can calm your mind, sleep deeply, wake rested, and enjoy happy, energized days. Ultimately, so that you can make a bigger difference in your well-being and that of your family and the world around you. These casual chats are for educational purposes only and don't constitute a therapeutic relationship. With all that said, let's get this episode underway. Come wonder with me. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. I am your hostess, Dr. and/or Coach Tonia Winchester. This is season 1, episode number 14, digging into fear, what it's really all about. I start this episode with a quote from Gabrielle Bernstein, who is an author and speaker on personal and spiritual transformation and growth. As you listen to the episode, you'll learn that her quote got me wondering about what is actually underneath our fears. And I share a beautiful client story about pain and transforming that pain into beautiful things like compassion and kindness and curiosity. There's an interesting moment where I have a curious slip where, as I'm telling her story, I say my mom instead of her mom. I'll let you analyze that however you'd like to, but it's there. I see it. I heard it. Now I'm letting you know. In this episode, I share my personal belief about suffering, and actually, maybe I should say my anti-belief about suffering. So tune in and listen closely for that. You're going to get questions that you can ask yourself to go deeper into the underlying unconscious needs or desires of any emotion or any behavior. Now, in this episode, there is definitely a low energy in my voice, and you can compare it to how I sound now, how I sounded then. And as I look back on the timeline when I recorded this podcast, that was after my experience with COVID, where I was depleted, and that's really coming through in my voice here. So don't let my lulling, calm voice distract you. Allow it to actually pull you in and take exactly what you need to out of this episode. I will link in the show notes to the podcast, my very first episode of the Wonder With Me podcast, where I talk about my experience with COVID and what I gained from it. And one more thing, which is just a bit of a fun exploration into the topic of fear outside of what I share in the podcast. When we look at fear and other emotions actually from a traditional Chinese medicine lens, which is part of my training as a naturopathic doctor, fear is governed by the water element. The kidneys and the bladder are in charge of processing the emotion of fear. When we look at what's called the 5-element cycle, or the cycle of creation and destruction, one of the things that supports the processing of fear comes out of the earth element. And the earth element's positive attributes are sympathy, responsiveness, thoughtfulness, and reflection. When these qualities transmute fear, the water element in Chinese medicine is able to reconnect into things like fortitude and wisdom. So just an added layer with which you can listen to this podcast, almost like a little audio filter that I've offered you, just another way to kind of consider the topics I'm about to share. Cool? Yeah. Last addendum here, I mentioned my book, Smiling in the Shower. That's the old title. The new version of the book is called Break Through the Insomnia Cycle, How to Sleep Deeply, Wake Rested, and Enjoy Happy, Energized Days. And to be clear, just because it has the word insomnia in the title, it's actually for anyone stuck in any kind of pattern, such as anxiety and stress, overwhelm and burnout, insomnia, and even chronic pain, like the story I talk about in this episode. Okay, I can't wait for you to listen to this beautiful story. Let's get into it. Let's get wondering. Digging into fear, what it's really all about. I read this quote recently by Gabrielle Bernstein. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the teacher of love. It got me thinking, what if below our fears was a deeper, more significant need that was trying to be met? Early on in life, a client experienced an event that changed the course of her life. A drunk driver hit the car her mom was in. Her mom's brain was injured, and from that moment on, my client started to be the caregiver for my mom. She was 7 years old. Fast forward a few decades. When we met, her body was filled with pain, and she was jealous of her relationship with her boyfriend, and it was really affecting them. He was a good guy, and she didn't want to mess it up. But it was like there was this beast inside that she just couldn't rein in. Early on in our coaching process, I ask my clients to check in with their unconscious mind by listening inside for the first and fastest answer that comes up. Is there a purpose for this problem? Inevitably, the answer is yes, even though the conscious mind is wont to rebut. Of course, there's no purpose. I'm miserable. Why would my brain do this to me? Why would it want me to suffer? Why, indeed? And I personally choose to believe the opposite. I hold on to the belief that everything the unconscious mind does and is doing is actually designed intelligently for our highest good. I believe every behavior is trying to meet a specific need, a deeper intention or purpose. I don't think I'd be able to go on in this life if I was convinced that our minds wanted us to suffer. Our body and mind want us to thrive, not just survive. Sadly, in our modern world, due to various physical and emotional stresses, we get locked into a revved up nervous system as the unconscious mind attempts to keep us in fight or flight. That serves a purpose. When negative things happen to us at a young age, our unconscious instincts change. Where we were previously free to feel joy and peace, now we're on high alert. Where we once literally slept like a baby who sleeps, now we toss and turn, unable to calm down our overactive minds. Stay awake, the unconscious mind urges. We must remain alert. These actions are trying to meet a need because it believes we need protection. A noble cause indeed. Interestingly, there are different neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, techniques that I use when working with my brain-based transformation clients that uncover deeper and higher intentions of these problem behaviors. Often the surface behavior and the superficial intentions are about safety and protection. That's just the top layer, and it's easy to stay locked there. My anxiety is here because it's trying to protect me. It's instinctual. But we can explore more and learn about deeper instincts that are trying to do much more than just keep us safe. I ask, and you can ask, and when that part has safety, what does it get through having that? Often the next tier of intentions are things like approval or respect. I ask, and you can ask, those things for what purpose? Commonly, the deepest core intentions are things like wholeness, love, joy, peace, and oneness. Nobler causes indeed. After my client and I cleared the trauma of that day that she found out her mom was injured, she said, I'm considering looking that driver up now. As a client who paid attention and was committed to the coaching process, she wasn't surprised when I replied, so if every behavior serves a higher purpose, what would be the intention of looking him up? We both shed a tear or two when she softly said, to see if he's okay. What a beautiful transformation. Her instincts had changed. Where she was once angry and resentful, driven to try her darndest to control what she could through jealous behavior, now she was compassionate, curious, and kind. Intriguingly, her pain disappeared. Going back to the quote at the beginning of this article, fear is a surface emotion that causes us to behave in a certain way, a way that could be considered a problem. And if that problem is trying to meet a higher, deeper intention, then love is the perfect teacher to help us change our instincts. How would things be different for you if you were convinced unequivocally that the purpose of your problems and your problem behaviors were not to create suffering, but were actually trying to change your instincts for joy and peace, energy and ease? And that's exactly what I do with my clients. I help people to reprogram their instincts so they can truly get over the big things in their past and create vitality and connection in the here and now and into the future as well. So if you're wanting more information about this, I highly recommend, if you haven't already, checking out my book, Smiling in the Shower, the surprisingly simple and swift way to break through burnout and create happy, energized days. And you can head on over to toniawinchester.com to get your copy. In the meantime, thank you for listening, and may you choose to make all your dreams come true. Hey, thanks for wondering with me today. If you've got something good out of this, then please forward this episode along to the people who you know could benefit. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're really keen, you leaving us a rating and review helps us to help more people, so thank you in advance for that. If you're wanting more insights about how you can leverage the power of your unconscious mind to go back into healing mode, head on over to toniawinchester.com, where you'll find my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, and other helpful ideas. Thanks again, and we'll connect on the next episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. In the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true.